Starting a business is a really stressful time. As somebody who's been through the process multiple times this year alone, I understand how it feels. I understand how the successes feel, and I understand how the failures feel. It is really an exhausting process. And what adds insult to injury in the process of starting a business is oftentimes the doubt that we face in our own minds. Whilst we might have people telling us our business will not work for whatever reason, we also have to battle with ourselves and our own internal self-doubt. This is a big thing which really impacts how well we do in our business and how we even start our business in the first place. Because unfortunately most people let the pressure get to them before they even consider starting their business fully. They look at things that won't work and then decide that it's not worth it for them. As someone, like I said, who's tried multiple times myself, I still face this even to this day. Even when I know that a business has a high likelihood of success based on previous results, I still hesitate to put in that extra level of effort, because oftentimes that level of effort is tied to two things. One, the time that we lose, and two, the money that we invest. No matter how much money you have, the concept of investing money into something which may potentially make a loss is a scary prospect. And I believe it's one of those things that really frightens people away from beginning their business. In actuality, you have a potential for success if you begin, and the more you try from there, the luckier you will get. That's simply put how it works. So let's go over that in this video. Let's talk about the concept of doubt and how starting a business is much easier than you may initially think. So we're going to first touch upon the point that I mentioned initially, the stress. Of course it is a stressful time. You have to map out business plans, and even when you get your business working and if it goes completely well, you have to think of things like accounting, keeping the books in general, keeping customers happy and that sort of stuff. It's a stressful process and it is something which can become tiring. Before you have the processes automated or in a way that's very thorough and efficient, you are going to run into a lot of stress and also a lot of hurdles as you don't have the processes fully aligned. But this doesn't mean that you should quit. Actually, if you see results, this is a time that you need to double down and continue pushing as hard as you possibly can. But unfortunately, this stage where most people should continue and push even harder is where most people start to give up. From day one, you have to think of a business in the first place, you have to map out that business idea, you have to think about where you're going to get products from, how you're going to sell them, what price is right, how you're going to keep the taxes, do you need to register as a company? This all stacks up, and it all helps to make you think, is this worth it? Especially when most people, like we've said many times before, are sat in a position of comfort. And we don't like to admit it, but it is true for most people. Whilst you might not be in a place of financial freedom where you can go and sit on a beach for 6 weeks whenever you choose, you are probably in a position where you have a decent job, you probably get by just fine, and that really is enough for most people. And that's unfortunately the thing that stops most people from achieving that next level, because they are comfortable where they are. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but it does definitely hinder the entrepreneurial spirit that is in all of us. Because when something comes from an absolute need, we have more of an inclination to put our 100% fully into this business idea and back it to the core, because we need it to succeed, because it's what we require to keep our lifestyle where it is right now, or even better. So when we think about that, that's why a lot of people don't want to start a business, because they are comfortable where they are. And ultimately they think that they're going to risk or lose too much in the process of starting their business. Now I have to also say, I think that's coming from a great position of negativity to begin with. Of course we do risk management when we consider starting a business, entering a new position in something. But does risk management hinder us too much? And do we overanalyze one element of it whilst not looking at the others? Some people often look at the positives of it and say, this is going to get me so rich. But then we have the complete opposite side. People who say, well, this is risky, I might have to invest £1,000, £2,000 to start this business up, no guaranteed return, and that is quite a lot of money, and I don't want to lose it. And that makes sense. But then it goes back to the risk management and the risk tolerance. You need to understand every element of business has some level of risk. Whether you're only willing to lose your time for a business that doesn't take any money to start up, you're going to have to invest something. Time, money, skills, and who you know, possibly. And all of these things are already great assets which we have under our control. And the thing about great assets under our control is it's something that we want to keep in that position. We want to keep our ownership of our time, we want to keep our ownership of our money, and we want to keep our ownership of our respect in our communities and our friendship groups. Because if we have a business that fails and we waste a load of money, people are going to probably think of us slightly differently. But that is the thing. You need to understand what goes into the process of business. It takes risk, It takes risk tolerance. You have to be aware that this is part of the process, and you have to understand how the journey works. Most people don't make that much money because they work for a business that's already established. But every business out there had to be established by someone, somebody who took that risk, somebody who was a pioneer. The question is, do you have what it takes to be that person? I think one of the best and biggest things that anybody looking to start a business can do is map it out completely correctly. And this is something which I bang on about all the time because it is so important. Sit down with a piece of paper or maybe even a computer or a tablet. Look at what the risk is. Do you invest a couple of hundred? Do you invest a couple of thousand? Look at what the potential reward of that is. It's like, if I invest 1,000, I might make 10,000 possibly. If that's the case, is this going to be worth it? Then we have to determine how likely that is. Obviously, we have a little bit of difficulty here because we probably don't have a business in this field to compare our results to. But we can look at competitors, we can look at what goes into running this, and if we think it's something which really could be pulled off by us, why not go for it? You only live once, and why not take that opportunity? Unfortunately, the world of the internet has made running a business look very easy. And whilst once you get the processes automated, it really can be, the early stages are going to be stressful. You're not going to know what to do, and you are going to need to get your processes more efficient. But this is not the side that anybody wants to show, because why would you? If you're selling a course, no one's really going to buy it if you're showing a struggling business. If you want to make money from views, no one's really going to watch your struggling business start up and also continue to survive because you're in the very early days. People want to hear a heroic story of how somebody built a 6-figure business in a matter of weeks. The reality of it is, the internet's clouded our judgment of what business looks like and what success looks like. It is unfortunately a rather long road, sometimes a tedious road, sometimes a road that we want to quit on. But this is the thing, if you start on the road, you're on it. If you fail in your first business, your 10th business, your 20th business, you've tried it, you've given it a go. And even if you decide then that you want to quit up, you've given it more than most people ever will do. So you should be proud of that. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is, the process of actually beginning a business is much easier than you may think. Yes, it's hard, yes, it's strenuous, yes, you're going to come up against challenges, but most people think about it as something that they physically cannot do under any circumstance. But actually, it's quite easy compared to what most people make it out to be. Sure, there are easier things out there. It's easier to do nothing. It's easier to be mediocre and not achieve much. But if you really think you've got a passion, a talent, something that you can utilize, capitalize upon, running a business is something which you should at least give a go. Don't sit there thinking about how your life could have been different if you'd have tried. It's easier than people like to say, but unfortunately it's not easy to the point where you're going to get millions in a couple of weeks. Understand what goes into it, make a proper risk assessment plan, map out the business, look at where you want to be, look at what you need to do, and you will be able to achieve greatness in your business. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you all again very soon.